if you're visiting today, when he mentions about nation, I am an Air Guard chaplain, and last year, it was about this time I was taking off for 3 months over to Germany. So thank you very much, congregation, everybody here at Calvary. It's been an amazing ride. It's almost been 15 years. That's a long time. I know. I was in my 30s when I showed up here. It's like, holy cow, what happened to some of us? Me, I guess. But yeah, it's been an amazing ride. Really appreciate it all very much. We started last week a series, 7-8 week series on healthy living, spiritually healthy living. And last week we started talking about a topic that most of us really don't like to talk about. Money. I mean, we'll talk about politics, we'll talk about sexuality, but don't talk about money and what I do with my money, because that's my money. It's nobody else's issues. So last week we started talking about that, and we looked at some of the ideas about money. And can you just jump to the one about the 3 things of money, Jacob? Like 2 more slides. Well, first this one. If you don't mind, I have a few new ideas I want to run by you this morning. I sort of need my elders next to me right now because, again, it's sort of a touchy topic for people. But last week we hit on the idea of money is a spiritual power. Money has a spiritual power to it, a spiritual nature within our lives. One more slide, Jacob. Spiritual nature. And there's that fact of money. It can sometimes be allowed. We allow it to control us. Why is that? Maybe because of our greed, that we want more, or our fear that we don't have enough. We looked at that last week. We talked about the idea that there's a dark side of money, that money can pull us down. The love of money is the root of all evil. It doesn't say that money is the root of all evil, but the love of the money can pull us down in our life. But there's also that light side of money, that money is a gift of God, and that we're called to use it to God's glory for the work of God. With that, we got a video this morning from the Skit Guys.
I give to God by enjoying what He has given me. Okay? I mean, do you really think He expects something back? Now, I know there's a lot of people at church that would not understand this line of reasoning. That's why, just to make things simple and not to cause any controversy, I like to carry what I call the little empty envelope, all right? You see, when the plate gets passed, I bloop, put it in there like that. The deacon's counting the money. They only know me as the crazy empty envelope guy, but the people sitting around me, clueless. I win, they win, God wins. No one gets hurt because no one knows.
God knows.
Huh?
Let me ask you a question, huh? How's your mutual fund? Hey, for that matter, how's all your funds? Has the fund left your funds, huh? Has your do-re-mi taken a W-A-L-K, huh? What if I told you that I knew about an investment you could make, that the return would be mind-boggling? And it's promised, it's guaranteed. I know what you're saying, there's no guarantees. This one's guaranteed, okay? Malachi 3:10. So it says in the Old Testament, it says, test me, give to God, and He will give you back. It goes like this: I give this, He gives this. I give this, He gives this. I give this, right up there. He keeps giving. I can't outgive God. How crazy is that? Do I love Him? Sure, whatever. I'm just saying, if you give, He gives back.
I tithe, but just not like in the form of a 10% check per se. Let me tell you what I mean. When I go to church on a Sunday morning, they're selling donuts, I buy some. Boom, that's a tithe. When my whole Sunday school class wants donuts, and I, out of the goodness of my heart, buy a whole bunch for the Sunday school class, boom, that's another tithe. But it's not about me spending money. It's about the smile on people's faces. That, my friends, is tithe enough for me. Case in point, the church was having date nights where we could take our spouse out for an evening, and they were charging $25 for child care. Boom shakalaka tithe. I'll tell you what the biggest tithe was. When I spent over $100 on our meal, and my wife was grinning ear to ear, that, my friend's, a tithe.
I would like to give. I would, okay? But Everything right now is just crazy. I mean, just crazy, you know? I mean, not normal crazy, really crazy, you know? And if after I paid my bills and took care of the things that I need and want, then I would consider giving something, but not now is crazy. We're going to give later. We've already talked about it. I mean, down the road we'll be crazy givers, but right now it's just crazy.
Yeah, I have money, that's a fact. But you know what? It's a heart thing between me and the Lord and the pastor, because he needs to know what I'm giving now that we have this little building campaign going on, if you know what I'm saying. And pastor, I'd give a little bit more. I'd give a little something if you'd have that music minister sing a couple more hymns now and then, huh? Hey, what's this? What's this? Is that a Benjamin? I think it is. Benji likes hymns. Come on, you want it? Come on, pastor, do what I say, huh?
Oh, in my life, Lord, be glorified in me. I put money in the plate. Wait, look what I have here. I hope it doesn't interfere, but that everyone can hear how I give with cheer, that everyone could be like me. Jazz hands.
Now, if you are visiting today, it's I've been neglectful. It's been like 8 years since I've actually taught on money. So with that, it's interesting because Jesus, the second biggest thing he talks about is money. Number one is kingdom of God. Number two is money. Any of you fit into that? Into that video? I mean, I don't want you to raise your hands, but I think with the laughter and the whatnot, there's some of us that at times we can fit into what the skit guys had to show this morning and teach us. What we see is the fact that Martin Luther said, if you just jump back one, I think it is Jacob. Martin Luther of the Reformation time, 1517, so almost 500 years ago, said there needs to be 3 conversions necessary. Conversion of the heart, which we would all agree with. Salvation comes as we ask Christ into our heart. Conversion of the mind. The Apostle Paul talks about the renewing of our mind. Whatever's lovely, whatever's pure, think on these things. But also the conversion of the purse, meaning our checkbooks, meaning our finances, meaning that which we own. There needs to be a conversion of. Well, I want this morning to just sort of look at a short history of the tithe. Short history of the biblical idea of tithing. Now, tithing is something that is just not within the biblical context, but it was also done in the ancient world all the way from Greece to China for different faith world traditions. There was a religious offering that was given to a political authority at times as a tithe, donating 10% of what you had. So it didn't necessarily just come from the Hebrew, the Christian scene, but it was also going on around in other parts of the world. Biblically, the first place that we really see the tithe is in Genesis. When Abraham, or Abram, before his name gets changed, Abram's nephew Lot is kidnapped and stolen, and Abraham with his workers and his slaves, they go back, they capture, they bring Lot back, they have a lot of spoils from the battle, and Abraham gives to Melchizedek. Some of you maybe remember this name. If you've never heard this name, sort of put this in your brain. Melchizedek is the high priest of Salem, which one day becomes Jerusalem. Okay, there's connection there if you put the pieces together. Becomes Jerusalem. Now, Abram gives to Melchizedek 1/10 of the spoils of the battle. Well, if we get into Hebrews, you see that Jesus comes in the line of not the Aaron priest or the Levite priest to work in the temple, but Jesus comes in the line of Melchizedek, way back from Genesis. whole nother teaching there. But the first